Well, we've done it. We've beaten the last game in our Suda51-a-thon. Killer is dead. This game kicked ass. You know, it got a lot of mixed reviews, most of them in the mediocre to low end. I thought this game was freaking amazing. Now, I can see where some of the complaints come in. The story was rather obtuse, and the gigolo missions exist. But overall, I thought this was a great product. Very referential to previous Suda51 material. I mentioned this very early on, but the gathering and requiring of blood and using it for your special moves is very referential to Killer 7. The general gameplay style is that of No More Heroes, especially the finishing moves. Well, those are more of the PS3 360 versions, because you gotta use the buttons for those, but even so, same general idea. The only difference is the gun, and that can be applied to Shadows of the Damned. And along with No More Heroes, you're basically a straight man Travis Touchdown. Instead of a horny otaku, you're a virtually emotionless professional who really wants to get the job done for the sake of the job, and also for payment. With Travis, he only really wanted the money so he can get close to his ultimate goal, which was having sex. Very classy, Travis. So No More Heroes seemed to inspire a lot of this game in its general aesthetic and playstyle. Now, speaking of aesthetic, the heavy cell shading does kind of remind me of Killer 7, but it more reminds me of the original trailer for No More Heroes, the one with Travis and Helter Skelter. The style just looks very similar, only more refined because it's a next-gen system. You know, it's PS3 and 360 versus the Nintendo Wii, which was still an SD kind of system. As for Shadows of the Damned, the gunplay is kind of debatable. I mean, I guess you could switch between guns on the fly, and they kind of just naturally happened instead of carefully selecting a gun. You know, like Johnson would just transform. But what really spelled out Shadows of the Damned for me was when you would shoot an enemy in the head from far away, and it would do that thing where the camera zooms in and takes out the head. That's what would happen in Shadows of the Damned if you got a headshot on your first shot on an enemy, which was kind of cool to watch. As for Lollipop Chainsaw, the Mika tickets. The Nick tickets in Lollipop Chainsaw were used for various purposes, but the Mika tickets, which you could buy at the shop, were used for whenever you would get taken down and you get a quick resurrection. So, again, this game was very referential to a lot of Suda51's previous material. As for the game itself, this might sound kind of strange, but it rather reminds me of Cowboy Bebop. Now, I'm not saying that this is to video games what Cowboy Bebop is to anime. I don't think this is the most spectacular game out there. I think this is just really, really fun. But I mean, in terms of story, and what I mean is that you don't get too terribly much about the characters' pasts, really any of them. You get a little bit. And then the majority of the missions are episodic and are unrelated to anything else in the story, except for it's your job to take down bounties, so go and do that. And whenever you would come to collect your money, it either wouldn't be there, or something would happen, you'd get some equivalent that didn't matter to you, or the one time where Brian got hit by the train, you'd have to spend it on something that was absolutely required at that moment, so your team always ends up with nothing, and it's like, ah, shucks, the next bounty will be our big payoff, I swear it. So that's kind of how Cowboy Bebop worked. And again, like Cowboy Bebop, you would occasionally get flashbacks and story missions that tied into the overarching plot, as Cowboy Bebop did with Vicious. Like, who is Vicious? Get a little bit more in the flashback. Oh, that's who he is. What's he doing now? So you get a little bit of that with David, and then it would all come to a head at the conclusion of the game, or of the anime series, as it were. As for the ending, it's kind of weird. Well, there are a couple of things. One, as I pointed out in the Let's Play itself, the ending fight was a little too on the nose. What I mean is, you're fighting a swordsman on the moon to the tune of Dvorak's Symphony No. 9, which is exactly what happened in Mission 9 of Asura's Wrath when you're fighting August, especially when he pulls out his sword. And there are really only two possible scenarios here. It was an homage to Asura's Wrath. It was not an homage to Asura's Wrath. If it was an homage, then it was a pretty elaborate one, considering that Symphony Number 9 was present throughout a lot of the game, especially the flashback sequences and that one Alice mission you hear in the music box. So there's been build-up, 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 and we've been focusing on the moon this whole time, which, by the way, actually also reminds me of Killer 7. But you've been focusing on the moon this whole time, Dvorak's tune has been in there for a while, and then it all comes to a head in the last encounter. So if that was an homage, boy did he build that one up. But if it was not an homage, damn, that's a coincidence. Like, that's incredible. That's an unbelievable coincidence. All those things coming together at the last second, like, wow. So if that was not an homage, then, man, somebody won at the lottery. Those odds are just incalculable. Unbelievable. Now, by the way, regarding the very end, when you get the malice and everything, this is a little too weird, but apparently a big thing of the biomechanical arm is that I didn't understand this because they expressed that the dark matter was negative energy and stuff like that. And in Mission 6, the sound studio, they kind of said it would bring out the worst in people, so it brings out malice. But still, a lot of times when you beat a boss, your arm would start going crazy, and you'd be like, oh, I need more blood, and I gotta stop this hunger. This was never expressed in the game, but user Chaos Saber informed me that on an Electronic Gaming Monthly article or website, Suda51 had an interview with them, and he said that this never turns up in the game, and it doesn't, but apparently the deal with that is that your enemies are evil and very malicious, and when you kill them, then their malice kind of comes to you and affects you, so your arm's getting worse and worse. That might be why when you killed David, now you have 2 arms that are just really dark and malicious, so no matter how good of a guy you are, the more villains you kill, the more you'll kind of work your way toward becoming one, sort of like Shadows of the Colossus. But the other thing that really, really weirded me out a lot was that apparently, according to the interview, again, I'm sorry, it's weird, it's just hard for me to put into words. Apparently, in American history, Mondo Zappa was one of the assassins who went to the Middle East and killed Osama bin Laden, and the malice spread across the team. Okay, that's a little too weird. Like, how do you think of that? I don't know, like, just too weird. Again, that's in the interview. You will never find any evidence for that at all in the game. The malice thing you could kind of pick up, I guess, but the bin Laden thing, what the hell? I guess Japan got in on this engagement as well with Navy SEAL Team 6. Sure, why not? As for the game, though, I really thought it was brilliant. The level designs, while very linear in nature, they're kind of like No More Heroes, again. Very cool with the neon shading, or the neon lights and the shading, and the general aesthetic, especially the sound studio and the train levels. I love those. And the Japan level, the Japanese level with the Yakuza, gorgeous and really peaceful, relaxing music. Again, with the music, Akira Toriyama, the guy responsible for the music behind Silent Hill and also for Shadows of the Damned. He nailed it with this one. I had said that Shadows of the Damned, a lot of its music sounded like it could have been in a Silent Hill game, but with Killer is Dead, no, it really took an identity of its own. Excellent, excellent. I love the job that Yamaoka did with this one. And, you know, the music was great, the gameplay was great. The Gigolo missions, that's where I could see people getting uncomfortable. It's not so bad once you just go in and see it as a minigame. Raise your bar. Allow yourself to activate your raising the other bar mode. Give present. Raise your 3rd bar. Mission complete. Now, if you're really uncomfortable with those and you don't want to do them, then you really don't need to. They're optional. What they get you is those 3 sub-weapons for your arm, which can be kind of nice. If you really want those, then you only need to beat them 3 times. However, as you've noticed with my Let's Play, the freeze gun and the fusion cannon are really not necessary. I don't know about higher levels of difficulty, but for me, they weren't really necessary. It's kind of the main gun. Even the drill, not that big of a deal, although there's, I think, maybe one Scarlet mission you can't find without the drill. So if you really want the drill, beat any Gigolo mission once. That's all I need to do. And even then, what are the Scarlet missions? You could get a little bit of chump change from them, but that's not really why you play them. The reason you play them is to build up your guts meter within Scarlet's domain. If that meter fills, you can meet Scarlet, and she'll give you her glasses. What the glasses do is allow you to have that X-ray vision thing you saw me doing at the very beginning of the Let's Play, and it helps you out with the Gigolo missions. So even then, the drill arm is good for helping you do the Gigolo missions, so if you didn't want to do the Gigolo missions in the first place, it really doesn't matter. So there's that. The Gigolo missions you can just completely skip. As for what was going on in the actual game, though, again, the story was rather obtuse. David seemed to have his king form and sort of Mondo with gold eyes form. You notice in the opening level of the game, when you're chasing down that skeezy-looking gunman, you're not Mondo. You're dressed differently, and I think you might have the gold eyes. Then you get shot and Mondo comes up, but that's what happens at the very end of the game. You run in, the man's already dead, so Mondo got there later. I don't know, like, it just kind of weirds me out. That might have been David the whole time. It's just kind of weird. And again, I said, oh, I bet you have a gold eye and a red eye now, but you never get to see the face, but yeah, it looks like you've kind of become a new villain, so now Moon River wants to take you out. What's up with Moon River? I could only think of two things. Number one, she wanted you to take out David so she could live in peace, because, you know, like she said. Or number two, she wanted to conquer things herself. But then, I don't know. I honestly think she was playing it straight. It looks like you've become a new legitimate threat, so they better take you out too. The cycle continues. What a shame. Now Mondo's this ultimate evil. I don't know, it's crazy. But really, I like the game a lot. I actually thought it was one of Suda51's better games. No More Heroes 1 intentionally had kind of grindy, obnoxious gameplay. Killer is Dead has, the gameplay isn't grindy, but you're gonna want to be grinding a lot if you want to buy those extra costumes, especially the absurdly priced $100 million one. For God's sake, that's just a pain in the ass. But as far as beating the game goes, you don't really need to worry about that. As you saw, I was able to max my character anyway, within one playthrough. I went back and grinded a little bit in some missions, but it wasn't overly necessary. And again, if I just focused on my gun arm, then I could have gotten through things just fine anyway. I didn't really need the fusion cannon. As you saw during the last battle, I was using that for fun. So the game plays very smoothly. Probably the most fun game to play, I would say, would be Lollipop Chainsaw. My favorite might still be Killer 7, because it took itself the most seriously, and it had a deeper story than it initially let on. But Killer is Dead really has a good mix of fun gameplay and a story that makes you think. It's not just randomness for randomness' sake. I mean, if that were the case, then you could say that about Cowboy Bebop, where it's like, now go after this bounty. You're doing your job. That's the game. You're going out and doing your job. There's a kill. There's a kill. Who said that those kills have to be connected? Again, there's the overarching David story, but that's its own separate entity. So, long story short, too late. I really, really enjoyed this game. I thought it was freaking great. And now, obviously, very, very big thanks to all of you for watching this, and as well as all of you for watching the whole Suda51-a-thon, if you did that as well. And special thanks go to Me Gamer and Witch of Swords for their awesome title cards. Thank you very much for those. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this game, as well as the Suda51-a-thon. Our games are done. As much as I enjoyed playing them. So, that said, there's only one thing left to do. Until next time, everyone.